Welcome to the channel. My name's Brian. I'm an SEO and AI search expert with more than 10 years experience. And today I'm going to talk to you about a skill I built with Claude Code called the Master Prospector. Originally, this was called the Master Link Prospector. If you've done SEO for any length of time, link prospecting is a pretty common activity. The reason I took the link part out of it is because this skill doesn't just look for link opportunities. We're good with mentions these days as well, since those can be impactful for AI search. I'm not necessarily going to show you every nitty-gritty detail on how to build this, but what I am going to do is show you what I built, and hopefully it gives you all the ideas you need to build your own Master Prospector. Mine has a lot of proprietary things built into it that really wouldn't apply to you. And I think when you build your own, you're going to have your own things that you're going to build into it. So that's why I think we should all kind of build our own rather than use one that's pre-built for us. But let's talk about what this thing does because it is a beast. All right, first things first, we know prospecting is a grind. It takes hours of digging to find the right opportunities. And when someone's doing this exercise, there can be a lot of blind spots. The other part that is a drawback is once you put together a prospecting list and you go ahead and you do all your signing up and your outreach, when you go to do the activity again, you have to have really accurate record keeping so you don't duplicate your efforts. And these three problems are all things that this Claude skill aims to solve. Basically, what it does is it uses 4 sub-skills, and it's just like having 4 specialists aimed at this task. They're all hunting in parallel, and then they report up to a master orchestrator skill that dedupes the information and puts everything together in a nice sequenced outreach program. This thing takes about 10 minutes to run. It's super efficient. And what you get out of it is incredible. You could have months or even more than a year of outreach work to do just from this one 10-minute run. Like I said, we're building citations here. I would say most of the opportunities are probably going to result in a link, which is great. Links still matter. We still want them, but we'd be okay with some of them ending up as mentions. The 2 things this master skill will output are an explainer doc and a workbook. I love the explainer doc because basically what Claude's going to do is report to me on what happened. So here's what I did. Here's what I found. These are the opportunities I chose to focus on and why. And the reason I love this doc is because I can get my footing. I like it to report to me just like a human direct report. And it tells me how much I need to look into the research exercise. Is there anything I need to go back and check again, make sure that Claude didn't go off the rails, that kind of thing. The second thing is the workbook itself. So you're going to get 2 tabs in this. You're going to get your working tab. So it's got all the opportunities and tons of columns that give you really relevant data on each opportunity. We're going to take a look at that later. And then the second tab is a how to use this workbook. And it's a detailed explanation. It tells you about the best practices, the color coding. It gives you useful links. It gives you an outreach template. It's got everything. And this is to make it handoff ready. Because basically what we're doing here is we're doing all the upfront research with AI, and then it's up to a human to vet each opportunity themselves to make sure it makes sense for the client, and then perform the actual outreach or sign up for a profile or whatever the opportunity requires. Let's talk about the 4 skills that go into the master skill. So these 4 things were things that I and my team were doing anyways, and that's where I got the idea. So I went ahead and built the skill and tested it, and it's been working incredibly well. Now, the first sub-skill is called the 6-City Marketing Link Prospector. Internally, we have a spreadsheet that has more than a decade's worth of learnings from link building. We've got the sites that have linked to us, the clients they've linked to, we've got wins, playbooks, we've got failures and insights. It's everything. It's essentially a diary of all the crazy efforts that we've tried over the years. So it's an incredible resource. It's proprietary. This is really the secret sauce of the skill. And so you might not have something like this, and I'm going to talk to you about how you can build one on another slide here. But if you have anything like this, I would definitely include this in a prospecting skill. So this is the first thing. After I give the master skill a client, what it's going to do is it's going to research that client a little bit. I've got some context docs on every client of ours to make sure that it's well informed. And then it's going to go into this proprietary data and it's going to grab out the bits that are most relevant. So that's your first report. Now, your second report that you're going to get is the Ahrefs link intersect. This is subskill number 2. If you're not familiar with Ahrefs link intersect, what it gives you is other websites that link to 2 or more competitors, but not your client. So you get a lot of really good opportunities out of this kind of thing. All you have to do is just hook into the Ahrefs MCP. I do it with Claude Code. It's super easy. I just ask Claude Code, how do I hook into this? And it basically just gives me a step-by-step. Now, the third subskill is using the SparkToro MCP that was just newly released. With the information about your client, this skill is going to develop an audience report within SparkToro, and then it's going to look at websites and podcasts and even Reddit threads. And it's going to pluck out the most relevant opportunities. And this is from the audience perspective. So you can see why each one of these 4 activities is a slightly different angle to come at link prospecting from. And that's what makes the final report so incredible. Now, to round things out, subskill number 4 is going to be the Google SERP Prospector. This thing does a bunch of site colon searches, a bunch of relevant searches that are trying to surface opportunities like, if you're a local business, chambers of commerce, maybe local roundups. It might even try to surface some scholarship opportunities, or, there's a lot of different searches that this thing does. I worked with Claude to kind of nail down which ones made the most sense. The master skill is going to reconcile all this information from all 4 of the sub skills. Yes, it dedupes. It's also going to focus on high relevance only. I really drilled Claude on this one because we want to make sure, as best we can, that AI is making decisions based on relevance. And the other thing that it's really good at is if it sees something in a competitor's profile, like let's say it's doing the link intersect report and it notices something like a leaning toward PR or press releases or, whatever it is, it's going to name it and it's going to kind of report that to you in the explainer doc. It's going to say, hey, listen, the competitors in your niche, when I was out there link prospecting, I noticed that they lean on press releases. So it's an opportunity for you to do it even better. I've also sequenced the output, which we will look at in a second, into 4 modules. Now, if you follow this channel, you know that I build my SEO strategies based on modules. And I do this for a reason, and it's to focus clients on progress toward a goal rather than time, which is arbitrary. So my 4 modules are foundations, velocity, growth, and expansion. And that is how I group the link opportunities. So you're going to see foundational link opportunities. You'll see some directories and things that are easier to get and land, but they are foundational and maybe they're not the strongest. So then we move into the velocity bucket, which could be guest posting, getting into roundups, and doing some PR on platforms like Quoted and Featured. When we talk about growth, maybe we're starting to kind of grow beyond just those other tactics. And we're going to think about podcasts. We're going to think about an awards page or something like that. And then for expansion, we can think about social media and maybe expanding into other platforms. One thing I have the tool do is try to see if it can find a link to the client already. Because what we don't want to do is reach out to any site and they already have a link. And so it does try to do this, but I tell our employees, no matter what the spreadsheet says, oh, they already linked to the client or it doesn't link to the client, you need to vet that yourself. So 2 ways you can do that are do a site colon search for the linking domain or what you hope to be the linking domain plus the brand name. You can also just go on the site itself and search for the client's profile. And I actually encourage our team to do both. You cannot be thorough enough at this step. It's worth checking and being sure. So one thing I want to talk to you a little bit more about is that internal resource that we have for link building. Now, when I got this thing, it was a spreadsheet and it had, I don't know how many tabs, well over 100, because it's over a decade of info. And this thing was causing my master skill to just grind to a halt. The runs took almost 30 minutes, and I had to constantly revisit Claude Code to approve the next step and just keep hitting yes. Again, if you've used Claude Code for any length of time, you know that this is something that pops up a lot. So what I did was I worked with Claude to turn that monstrosity into something lighter, something that was easier for AI to read and use, and something that could be more collaborative. So what we did was went through every single tab. I had an agent run through each tab methodically and pull out the best stuff, the best insights, deduplicate everything, because there was a lot of repeated sort of information within this sheet, and made it way more nimble. We've got markdown files, we've got CSVs, everything is broken up nicely. We've got the client by client, niche by niche insights. It's all cleaned up, it's way lighter, and I host it on GitHub in a private repo, and I make my team all collaborators. And the great thing about that is not only can they now tap into it through Claude Code, because you just point them to the repo, but we can make updates. So if I win a link somewhere, I can kind of add that domain. I can say who I want it for, what niche it's good for, all that stuff. And I can have it update that GitHub repo. And now we've got a brand new insight within our proprietary resource. So this is something I would highly suggest you do if you have something like this. I wanted to kind of show you the Six City link building knowledge base, at least from afar. I can't really click into these too much, but you can see how it sort of split things up. We've got this wonderful README that walks anyone new through this resource. And then we've got playbooks, we've got proven winners. These two folders, I would say, they're where you want to go. This is where the actionable stuff is. Let me show you an example of the output. This is the workbook, okay? And this is what you're going to get. So you can see here, I've got the module that this opportunity falls under. It's foundational, and that's because it's a directory. Now, where did it come from? It came from the link intersect subskill. And the target is McRae's Blue Book. I've got DR here. And then these great notes, like why it fits, okay? What makes it relevant, basically, and then how to pursue it. And a lot of that information comes from the Six City knowledge base that we have. All right, and then I've got a score, which is really cool. Claude Code did this itself. So if you're building this and yours doesn't, I would ask it to do it. This score is based on domain rating. It's based on relevance. And it's also based on the module and like how easy it's perceived to get. There are actually 95 opportunities within this output, and they're all ordered by Claude's sort of suggested order. Then I've got a couple of columns about checking the listing and seeing if it exists. If the analyst has any notes or is confused and has a question, they can put a note in here. And then as you check these opportunities off, I've got a couple of formulas running here that calculate how many opportunities we have completed and what percentage is done. Okay, and that second number should not be going down, so that's an update I need to make. But anyway, that can be nice to track as well. And then you've got the instructions on how to use this sheet, and that's going to be for anyone who's seeing this for the first time. Now, what do you do after you've run this? Like, let's say we run that campaign and we go through all those opportunities. What do you do when you want to do another run? Well, the cool thing is I built the tool to first check in on any existing workbooks. And it's going to go through that workbook. It's going to spot those opportunities that are already found. So then when it does its new run, it's going to ignore those, which is really nice. All right. I'm finding that Claude Code is definitely getting so much better and more reliable at these research tasks. Not too long ago, I tried this kind of thing out where it went out onto the web and was accessing tools and stuff. And I wasn't really confident in what it returned. But now with all these MCPs out there and Claude's own research capabilities is getting so much better. And so these types of master skills are much more viable and reliable. But of course, we have to have some guardrails. I still check Claude's work. I always give it the human eye and make sure that the information I'm working with is accurate. This master skill kind of follows my philosophy that I use with AI and content. I use AI up to a point and then I draw the line, and that's where I want human beings coming in. If you haven't built a link prospector with AI, I hope that inspires you to do so. I suggest Claude Code. I suggest using a number of sub skills that feed up into one master skill to give you some great output and a working list. And then I would draw the line there and have human beings vet the output and do the outreach themselves for the greatest chance of success. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit me up in the comments so I know who's watching and what kind of content you want to see next. And I will see you in the next video.